being a loner is actually a good thing. Now, I know a lot of y'all probably clicked on this video ready to leave a negative comment or even a dislike, but I promise you, by the end of this video, you are going to understand why being a loner might actually be a good thing and why a lot more people might probably benefit from learning how to be alone. Question: if for whatever reason you had to spend the next 24 hours completely alone, what would you do? Now, I want you to think about your initial reaction to that question. If your immediate response was, yo, I'm not gonna lie, 24 hours is a long time, then maybe this video is for you. Now, before I get into anything, I think we need to clarify the definition of a loner. What does it mean to be a loner? When people hear the term loner, they might picture someone who's always by themselves. You might see them in the hallway alone. They be sitting alone. They don't really go out like that. They don't really talk to anybody. They just go home, stay in their own environment, and do their own thing. And usually when people hear that, there's almost always an assumption that something is wrong. It's almost like being alone automatically means you're lonely. But I don't necessarily see it that way. In my opinion, being a loner doesn't mean that you hate people. It doesn't mean that you don't have friends. It doesn't mean that you don't enjoy being around people. It's simply someone who's comfortable being alone. And if they had the choice, they would probably prefer spending time with themselves versus spending time with someone else. And honestly speaking, I don't see anything wrong with that, because my actual argument in this video is not that I think everyone should become a loner. It's that being alone doesn't have to be a bad thing. And I actually think learning how to be alone is a very useful skill. I think one of the biggest misconceptions about being alone is that whenever you are alone, you are lonely. There's actually an insane amount of things that you can accomplish on your own. You can go to the gym, you could work towards a goal, you can brainstorm, learn a new skill, build discipline, enjoy hobbies, create, cook, read. There are so many things you could be doing alone. And in that solitude, you can also discover who you are as a person. Sometimes we treat being alone like it's a space that needs to be filled. Like if I'm sitting here by myself, I need to call someone. If I'm going out somewhere, I need somebody to come with me. If I want to try something new, I need somebody who's going to do it with me. And yes, I understand wanting company, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with wanting company. But I think there's a big difference between wanting someone to come with you and needing someone to come with you. And that need is where I think it can become a problem. I've seen people who want to go to the gym, but they feel like they need a gym partner. I've seen people who want to start a business, but then feel like they need to find a business partner. It's like they want to get into a new hobby, but they feel like they either need to find or convince someone to be interested in it as well. But what happens when that person stops showing up? What happens when they lose interest? 9 times out of 10, the person who originally had the idea ends up stopping as well. Just because that +1 decides to stop going, that shouldn't automatically mean failure for you. That lack of a +1 shouldn't take away from your original motivation. And I think that's something that being comfortable alone teaches you. It's the mentality of, I want to do this, so I'm going to do it. Even if no one else wants to come, even if no one else understands. And I honestly think that that right there is incredibly valuable, because when you get comfortable doing things alone, you stop waiting for other people to give you permission to start. Like, you don't have to wait for the perfect gym partner. You don't have to wait for someone to become interested in something you're passionate about. You could just go. And on top of all of that, I think solitude gives you something else that's even more important: the opportunity to discover who you really are. What are your likes? What are your dislikes? What are you passionate about? What are your goals? Do you have aspirations? What kind of person are you? What kind of person do you want to become? Sometimes when there's a lot of people around, we never get the chance to actually think or consider those things. We're constantly consuming what other people like. We're constantly doing what everyone else is doing, consuming everyone else's opinion. And like I said before, there's nothing wrong with that. But sometimes you need to just strip all of that away and sit with yourself. And it's in those moments where you might actually discover things about yourself that you didn't even know existed. And I think that's actually one of the most beautiful things about solitude. You can grow without judgment. Nobody is watching you. Nobody is grading you. Nobody is breathing down your neck. You're not being rushed, and there's no timeline. You have the space to be bad. You have the space to experiment. You have the space to fail, grow. You could change your mind if you want to. You can take the time that you need to figure yourself out, and nobody ever has to know about any of it. So when I speak about the concept of being alone is a skill, this is what I'm talking about. It's not just the ability to sit in a room by yourself, but it's about being able to enjoy your own company, pursue your own interests, the ability to grow and discover who you are without constantly needing someone else by your side. This is actually something I think is really important in the topic of having someone beside you. I think that learning how to be alone can actually make your relationships better. And I'm not just referring to romantic relationships. I'm talking about across the board, friends, family, coworkers, etc. Because there's a big difference between genuinely wanting a relationship with someone because you actually want this person to be a part of your life, and being in a relationship with someone because you do not know what you would do without them. And those two things might look similar from the outside, but internally they're completely different concepts. Your relationships should not be your entire purpose. Like, your partner shouldn't be your sole source of entertainment, and you shouldn't feel like your life stops whenever they're busy. And I definitely do not think you should ever be in a position where you feel like you cannot function without another person. Whenever I think of the concept of a healthy relationship, I always think about two people coming together as individuals and pouring into each other, pushing each other and helping each other build. You have your life, I have my life, and together we make each other's lives better. But neither person is responsible for giving the other person a reason to exist. If my partner is at work, I'm good. If my partner is spending time with her friends, I'm good. My partner has to go on a trip, visit her family, I'm good. I can do my own things. I have my own goals. I have my own interests. I have my own life. I can spend days on end by myself and actually enjoy myself. And it's not because I dislike my partner, and it's not because I don't want to spend time with my partner. It's actually completely the opposite. But I think being able to exist independently allows you to appreciate somebody without becoming completely dependent on them. Because honestly speaking, when you can't be alone, you start to put an enormous amount of pressure on the people around you. They become responsible for your happiness. They become responsible for keeping you entertained. They become responsible for keeping you motivated. And eventually the relationship can start to feel a lot less like two people pouring into each other and more like one person siphoning from the other. And honestly speaking, I don't think that's a very healthy dynamic to have in any relationship. Relationships should add to your life, but they shouldn't be the only thing giving your life meaning. And I think this is probably the most important part of everything that I'm talking about in this video, because the honest truth is, you're not always going to have people around you. That's just life. Friends move, people get busy, relationships end, people grow apart. Your partner might have responsibilities. Your family may not always be available to you. And to put things quite frankly, sometimes life just be lifing. And sometimes you're gonna end up being alone, even if it's not by choice. And if you never learned how to be alone, or never learned how to be comfortable with yourself, those moments when you're stuck in solitude can feel like the end of the world. They could be some of the darkest times someone can have. Like, for example, think about a breakup. You lose someone who you've spent a huge portion of your life with. Your routine changes, your environment changes, phone ain't buzzing the same no more. You got no one to talk to, and now you gotta sit by yourself. A lot of people try to immediately escape that feeling. They jump into another relationship, They surround themselves with people constantly as a distraction. They find anything to avoid sitting alone with their thoughts because in those moments, being alone with your thoughts can feel uncomfortable. But I think there's something valuable about allowing yourself to experience those moments because sometimes you need that space to reflect and you need that time to actually heal. And if you've already taken the time to build up your ability to be alone, that process becomes a lot less terrifying. Like, yes, it's still gonna hurt, but when someone leaves your life, at least you don't lose yourself with them. And I think that right there is an incredibly valuable thing to have. So, yeah, this is why I feel like being a loner is a good thing. Or more accurately, I think being able to be comfortable spending time alone is a good thing. It is a very useful skill that can bring a lot more positives into your life than negatives. It can help improve your ability to make real relationships while also preventing those relationships from defining who you are as a person. The idea of spending time alone shouldn't scare you. Sometimes it's even necessary. Now, I'm not trying to tell you how to live your life, but maybe it's worth asking yourself, how comfortable am I for real with being alone? And if the thought of spending 24 hours with yourself made you uncomfortable, maybe this is something worth exploring. Because learning how to enjoy your own company might be one of the most valuable things you can do for yourself.